And we're back. Long story short, after my voice got better, it got a lot worse. Along came the festivities and I decided to rest my voice some more. So before we get back to the regular scheduled programming, I'd like to describe what happened over this period. Last year I had stopped playing before EVA returned for the Christmas event, and in all honesty I found it slightly underwhelming. Essentially it was all based around EVA and her oven, which you used to bake cookies for the NPCs around the worlds of Destiny. And that's it really, but let me expand further. Apart from collecting something called Dawning Spirit, nearly everything in this event is completely passive. EVA offered event upgrades which required this, and that helped with more event-based resources, chances for event-based weapons to include 2 additional perks, and boosting the damage and effects added to a snowball mechanic. After using it on this, it became rather redundant. The main goal for this event was to make every NPC a cookie. After this you could masterwork the oven, so any additional cookies you baked required less resources to make. This is where the event became passive in my opinion. You collected resources by killing enemies in various ways, but you only really needed to look at how to get ingredients during that initial phase. You got the majority of them by just playing the game. If there was something you were short on, for instance using a weapon type you don't normally use, you'd use it, get what you needed, and that was it. And after that you really only focused on Essence of Dawning that you needed to use 10 of every time you baked cookies. Well, once the oven was masterworked. The quickest way I discovered for this was by doing Legend Lost Sectors, as it gave you a guaranteed minimum of 16 essence every time. It took at most usually 5 minutes and had the added benefit of potentially rewarding you an exotic. But time was money and I resorted to speed running them with more people and got the time down to 3 minutes and sometimes even 2 minutes per run. And the event weapons? Well, that's another story. You had a 20-ish% chance that when you gave a cookie to an NPC, they would give you a gift in return. Opening it gave you chances of receiving shards, prisms, cores, upgrade modules and destination materials, which where I was and am had very little need for. However, you could exchange these with EVA with a small amount of the no longer needed Dawning Spirit to receive one of 2 gifts in exchange. One would either give you the Glasioclasm fusion rifle or avalanche machine gun, and the other would either give you the Zephyr sword or Cold Front SMG. Each have plenty of roles and very few game-changing features, even with the potential additional perks. In summary, the event consisted of you making cookies from resources you passively collected, collecting more Dawning if you needed it, making and giving out cookies to NPCs. After masterworking, you mostly gave them to the same one, for a chance to drop a gift that may or may not have the desired perks on the weapon you wanted. A week before this event launched saw the 30th anniversary content drop. This included Dares of Eternity, which was available for free players. This game mode was different, but again time consuming, but both events complemented each other. You could focus on playing Dares while still collecting the needed resources for the Christmas event, even if it wasn't the most time efficient way of collecting the Essence of Dawning. So let's focus on Dares of Eternity for now. This game mode is based on a game show, with a horse and his pet Xur playing the roles of host. There's several stages. It starts off with you running and jumping out of the spawning zone and floating towards the same intro of taking enemies for a warm-up. Once all are defeated, a wheel appears that needs to be spun to introduce a random enemy and its own unique game mechanic. Once that's done, you have to run towards the opposite end from where you started, line up the 2 semicircles and float up through a rotating shape. Run through a short obstacle course that you'll soon master to get to the next area. Just like in the first area, another wheel comes down and another random enemy is selected, and you play through that predetermined event. But after this, instead of a wheel, you get to choose to stand within one of 3 circles. Randomly, one is picked, and you make your way through the corresponding door to again another predetermined event that comes in 3 flavours. Easy, boring, or tedious. Either way, upon completion you receive a treasure key and a strange coin. There is a chance a special boss will spawn during the end of the second encounter that gives you more, and even a lightning round at the end that happens so rarely I almost forgot about, and that gives you more of these. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh and critical on this, but since its release I've played this game mode over 200 times and also had 2 full weeks off not playing the game. Yes, it does offer something different and it isn't always the same, but if you play enough of it, it doesn't matter. So why have I played it this much? Well, you can exchange the strange coins to get bounties from Xur, and completing those gives you additional treasure keys. Those keys are used to open a chest that rewards the 30th anniversary weapons. They are the BXR-55 Battler Pulse Rifle, the Wastelander M5 Shotgun, the Pardon Our Dust Grenade Launcher, the Other Half Sword, and Half-Truth Sword. And of course, the Retraced Path Trace Rifle, which I didn't forget. Based on Halo weapons, these guns are more useful than what was rewarded from the Christmas event, and I actually started using the Pulse Rifle with Demolitionist and Adrenaline Junkie. It's a great combo. But this is where the mode falls flat for me. Supposedly you can get strange coins from other events, but I rarely saw this, and once the weekly bounties came around, I found myself short. You also couldn't buy more than 1 bounty at a time, and as the mode involved 6 players, you couldn't leave when you'd completed the bounty, as you had to hit a total point score that was rewarded at the end. As the mode lasted around 10 minutes and there was 3 daily bounties, it would take you an hour and a half to complete on all characters. Not to mention the 3 weekly bounties that you could only do on 1 character, load times, travelling back to Xur every time to get a new bounty. Oh, and forgot the lightning round, but again, that rarely happens. Again, with anything in these videos, it's just my opinion, experience from the journey I've taken. Obviously, the Christmas event has now ended, but I was expecting it to be a bit more, I don't know, eventful. The Halloween event was, even though those guns weren't great, and the summer event always seems fun, just as long as you're at the right power level to complete the tasks that Eva gives you. Theirs does seem to be staying, although there'll always be a cloud of vaulting hanging over it, but it does have potential if it's tweaked slightly. They've set it up similar to Crucible, Gambit and Vanguard missions, where you can level up a ranking system to get rewards. However, if I remember correctly, it requires you to play around 70 games before you can reset the rank. That's almost 12 hours. Again, not mentioning the additional travel and loading times. Completing it once did reward you with the Forerunner sidearm, which is another Halo-based weapon, and its catalyst. However, it's an exotic sidearm, and usually I want a bit more DPS from my exotic weapon. Well, that was pretty much my December in Destiny. The next few episodes will be of the Grandmaster Nightfalls that are available for me to do, and they shouldn't take too long to edit. So until then, catch you later.